Hey, Mama. Hey, Health Shiro. Charlotte Conter, holistic health coach. So I wanted to come on and just explain what's been going on in my life for the last month, almost month. Um, so my dad passed from cancer about 3 weeks ago now. And 2 weeks after he had passed, um, I was getting ready to take the kids to summer camp, their first camp. And my son like ran into the bedroom and like jumped on me like he does, every morning. And he just kind of landed funny on my breast. And I was like, ow, and just kind of rubbed. And I was like, ugh, like, oh God, what is that? And I felt a large lump. And, immediately all kinds of like flooding with emotions. Like I'm, 12-year cancer survivor, thriver. And I was like, oh my goodness, the same breast that I had the cancer in 12 years ago. And, you know, all kinds of worry, all kinds of fear, like I'm a mother now, all of this started coming up and I didn't deny it. I felt it. I didn't hang out there. I wasn't, I leaned into it. I felt the emotions and then I came out. I didn't get sucked into that like victim vortex. And then I was like, okay, well, because I'm very solution focused and very high action. So what's my plan? So I called the rapid diagnostic clinic at Princess Margaret in Toronto. And anyways, got the referral from my doctor and, got in there and they did a mammogram, ultrasound, and biopsy all on the same day. And they just kept saying, it doesn't look good, doesn't look good, doesn't look good, doesn't look good. So a lot of fear. Before going into that appointment, I meditated, I put shields up and I was like, I am not going to succumb to this fear. Like I want to make decisions from an elevated, higher levels of consciousness. So I went on with my, with the appointment. They called me back a couple of days later to go in for the results. You now get the results in email. So I, looked at the results and it was atypical cells compatible with cancer. So it didn't say that it was cancer, but it was compatible with cancer and atypical cells. So I went into the appointment and I, gave my husband a heads up and I was like, listen, they're going to be seeing all kinds of fear. So I meditated, put the shields up, again, just radiated like health and happiness and peace, and sent them love too, because these are like beautiful souls that, really believe that they are doing incredible work and they're there to help people. And, prepped, my husband prepped my family. I even had family members, calling me tearful, please just like cut everything off. Like, just let's be done with this. Just do whatever they say that they, whatever they tell you to do, just do it. And I asked them, I need you to respect my boundaries. That's, I'll get into what my holistic healing is going to look like. So went into the appointment and the woman's like, did you look at your results? Like, I'm really sorry. And I said, well, I did, but I'm not getting a clear picture of what the results are. And she's like, it's atypical. So we recommend that you remove the breast. And I said, well, yeah, I got atypical. Atypical is abnormal cells. Yes. And she's like, yes. I said, okay, but it says it's compatible with cancer, but it doesn't say that it is cancer. And she's like, well, no, it doesn't say that it's cancer, but we recommend that you remove the breast because you've had cancer in that breast before. And because you've had a lumpectomy, we recommend that you go big this time and remove the breast completely. I was like, hold on. So you want me to remove the breast because you think it may be cancer, but it's not cancer? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, just to be clear, you're saying that it's not cancer. And then she's like, well, yes, that's according to this, the report, that's what it's saying. So I'm like hugging my husband. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Oh. And she's like, this is not time for celebration. And I said, it's not. Like, I'm hearing it's not cancer. That's grounds for celebration. And she said, no, it's more inconclusive at this point. And I said, okay, fair. But I'm still celebrating because 12 years ago, when I did the biopsy, there was less samples. It was much smaller, the lump, and it immediately came back as cancer. So this is a win. This is a win, but a wake-up call. Like I want us to have like that clarity. It's not like, okay, I'm scot-free and like that's the end of it. It's like, no, there's work to do, right? So she's like, okay, so, let's do, if you don't want to cut, remove your breasts, then let's do an MRI, let's do a bone scan, CT scan. I said, blood work. Yes, let's do all of that. And use the conventional system to scan and to monitor. And then she's like, the surgeon will be right in with you. And it was the same surgeon I had 12 years ago. And I'm like, you're still working? And he's like, well, no, I'm not going to take you on as a patient. I'm no longer taking on patients because he is getting ready to retire. And he said, okay, and this is like, again, this is all in a span of like a couple of minutes, right? So immediately they're throwing all kinds of scary treatment options, right? Healing options at you. And he came in and he was like, listen, it doesn't matter what the pathology report says. This is cancer. I've seen it a million times before. I would highly recommend doing mastectomy. Let's do some genetic testing. Have you done that before? I said, yeah, it came back negative. Well, that's 12 years ago. We've got some, a full panel now. You might as well do it again, because if it is positive, then might as well just remove both breasts at the same time. What kind of chemo did you do? Oh, this is the type of chemo you did. Okay, so you can't do the same chemo because it'll be too hard on your heart. You could have heart failure, but you're young. So, maybe we could go ahead and do it, or maybe we switch up and do a different type of chemo. You can't do radiation. I mean, it was like, now I have been studying this industry for 12 years. I had gone through it, 12 years ago. I've lost my best friend to it. I watched my grandmother go through it. My dad go through it. I've helped many clients go through their healing journey as well. So I'm coming in there guarded, prepared, protected, educated. And it's overwhelming, but it was like, this time it was very different. It was like I was coming from like, I don't know, it was like an outer body experience, but in a good way, where I'm just kind of observing, just neutral. I'm not getting supercharged, like, these, like my old self would have been like, these idiots, like, what's wrong with them? Like, this is so, caveman, blah, blah, blah. This is crazy. Like, just cut it out. But it was just observing, like, wow, he really believes this is the best way. She really believes this is the best way. And it was just observing from a place of neutrality. Is that a word? I don't know. But from a neutral emotional standpoint. And it felt very empowering, which shows a lot of the spiritual growth that I have gone through. And although, I'm listening, I'm taking in everything that they're saying, and I'm saying, no, thank you to the genetic testing, because we have the power to turn on and off the genes. I mean, like we have that power. And just listening to all the types of treatment, and, and went home and celebrated. I mean, I felt good. I mean, I had a dance party, we hugged it out, like we felt good. Now, the moment I found the lump, I had already started plugging into hope, started plugging into faith. And, I actually, a couple of weeks before that, I had heard a dear friend who I love was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I immediately started bringing up, anybody that I know that's, going through it, and if they ask and if they're open, then I pull up all kinds of, incredible healing stories, people with stage 4 cancer that had been turned away from conventional, that have been put in palliative care, have done like a full recovery, which the conventional word calls, radical remission, but it's healing, right? That they've been able to heal themselves. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but it's really important to be open to hearing these stories of healing, because when you hear these stories of healing, you are inspired. You're like, holy shit, it's possible. Just a thought. Oh my God, this is possible. Whoa, this could happen. This could, maybe, what if it did happen to me? That would be effing amazing, right? Like that would be incredible. So all it is just planting that seed of hope, because once you have that hope in your energetic field, now all of a sudden you can start taking inspired action. So I didn't wait until I got the biopsy. I didn't wait until, I got the results. Immediately I started taking inspired action. So I am doing like, it's, it sounds simple, but what I'm focusing on is detoxing my body, de-stressing, simplifying my life, removing, toxins out of my body, out of my mind, energetic field, all of that, and then flooding my body with as many nutrients that I can absorb, and just loads of positive energy. And I believe that I can heal, and I will say this, that I will not be removing breast, that I will not be doing any type of conventional treatment, and I am doing loads of action at home, tons of action at home. It is like a full-time job in addition to, my business as well. And when something like this happens, you've got to take full responsibility for where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything. What was working, what wasn't working. So I had to take a full picture of what was working, what wasn't working. Now, in the last 2 years, because I had a thermography scan 2.5 years ago, and it was clean. So this has just happened recently. Now, so they're going to go through all the scans. They're convinced that it is cancer. And if all the scans come back clear, they want to do another biopsy, which I have to tune in intuitively and see if that's in my highest interest to do. But cancer it represents emotionally. And you can look that up in Louise Hay's Heal Your Body, which every household needs to have. You just look up like different body parts, different chronic illnesses or anything like that. And you can look up emotionally what's holding on, and then your affirmation as well. So cancer represents deep hurt and resentment. So I had to look within. Where am I holding resentment? How am I holding it? Why do I feel resentment? And I had to go through and over the last 2 years, the world upside down, all of the forcing, this, and that's not how we get sick. So I did have a lot of anger. I had to be truthful with myself. I had to be, really honest. The soul loves the truth. And I was carrying around a lot of resentment and having to pull my kids out of school, which I was angry with at the time. That was my choice, but I was still angry that I had to do this, right? I didn't want my kids online. I didn't want my kids wearing a mask. And then going into homeschool, and then what a blessing that turned into be. But I had anger and resentment there as well. And then with my dad as well. And, he went through, cancer treatment. He did surgery, chemo, radiation. He got the all clear, and the doctors really encouraged him to get this. And I was like, please, Dad, don't. Your immune system is compromised. The last thing you want to be doing is putting more toxins into your body. And he did. And within his second dose, about a month, maybe a month and a half after getting his second dose, he was diagnosed with heart cancer. Now, I've been studying, cancer for the last 12 years, holistic health for the last 14 years. And I was like, I'd never heard of heart cancer before. Hey, cutie. I'd never heard of heart cancer before. So, and then Dr. Malone, who invented the mRNA vaccine. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that word, but anyways, he invented everything that's been going around for the last 2 years. He invented, and he said, nobody that has been diagnosed with cancer should ever, or even chronic other illnesses. There's incredible interviews that, of course, the internet is like squashing and not letting a lot of people see, but he's like, nobody should ever do it. Not only would the cancer come back, but it will come back aggressively, and you'll get rare types of cancer. And that's exactly what happened to my dad. Now, in saying all that, the moment my dad, I'm very intuitive, as most of us are, and this is something that I've been, working at, reading people and things like that, but for the last 20 years. And the moment my dad got diagnosed with cancer, I could feel in every cell in my body, he knew this was his exit point. He knew this is the way that he was going to transition. And I was grieving from the moment he got diagnosed, because I knew it was just going to be a matter of time. So I knew everything that was going to play out was going to play out. I didn't know the exact steps or anything, but I knew this was how he was going to pass. So seeing big picture, but then still honoring my humanity, going, oh, this sucks. Why did this have to happen? Why are we forcing this? This is not the way we get healthy. Instead of closing down, gyms and whatever else, why aren't we keeping them opening? Or why aren't we mandating exercises and closing down, liquor stores and fast food stores and things like that? So you can see anger and resentment. So I'm like, ooh, yes. Okay. I need to go a little bit deeper there, see what needs to be transmuted. And then rest is not nourishing yourself, and putting yourself last. So I had to evaluate, am I putting myself last? What was I doing? And it was like, well, my business, the last 2 years, my business has expanded. I had to hire a couple of people. I'm homeschooling kids as well while it's expanding. And then my dad was sick, and bringing him to appointments and, groceries and, diapers, the works I was, helping him out with. So it was a lot. It was a lot. And although I was meditating, although I was journaling, I was visualizing, nutrition was inconsistent. Exercise was inconsistent, like nothing compared to what I was doing on the daily before the world turned upside down. So it was like, okay, I take full responsibility for that. And then I was like, once I kind of came up with a game plan, okay, so what I need to go back to healing the gut. That's really, really important. So you want to be eating, increasing your plant intake. So for me, I knew that I needed to go back to raw vegan. That's like the highest nutritional content. So flooding my body with all those nutrients. And when we eat plants, it's like brushing those toxins that are stored in our gut lining, brushing those toxins away. I wanted to drink smoothies, like load them up with antioxidants, which again, I was doing daily, but just the intention behind it. This is nourishing my body. This is healing my body. Thank you for healing my body. Drinking big smoothies and then drinking like 64 ounces of juice a day. And then heavily detoxing. I'll probably do a video on, or maybe even a workshop on holistic detoxing, because that's a whole other process, but really, really important to learn how to detox holistically, so we can help, again, flood those toxins out and to make sure that our body can absorb, even doing daily enemas. I mean, you name it. I've been doing it. And at the end of the day, so if you are watching and you've watched this far, thank you. And please, like the video and share it if you feel called to, comment below. But if you've been feeling stressed out for long periods of time, if you've been putting your happiness, your health on the back burner, your sense of peace on the back burner, it's time to put yourself first. Because if we do that for long periods of time, our body is going to start communicating with us. Our body's going to start, communicating with us and doing what it needs to do. So it doesn't mean, and you might be asking, why wouldn't you just do conventional treatment? Well, cancer, for example, imagine the tumor or whatever the symptom is, whatever symptom you're experiencing, that is like a check engine light for the body. It's just like, hey, you're really gassy, or hey, you feel a bump in your breast or whatever. That's a check engine light. Something's off with the car. Something's off with the body. So if you had a car and you took that car to the mechanic, and the mechanic was like, I got you. Don't worry, we're going to take really good care of you. Let's rip out that check engine light, surgery. Let's pour poison where that check engine light was, chemo. And then let's burn where that check engine light was, radiation. And then he's like, you're good. Or she's like, you're good. Your car's good. Go on. You can drive. I mean, that would be all over the news as like the biggest scam, the worst, mechanic ever. What kind of scam job is this? And this is our healthcare system. And I'm not saying, there isn't a place for medicine. I'm not saying that, but it's for acute cases. Healthcare system is amazing, right, at handling acute cases. But if we are dealing with anything chronic, obesity, heart, diabetes, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you name it, it is not enough. You have to come back home and make changes to your diet and to your lifestyle. And a little bit of changes equals a little bit of results. Big changes equals big results. So if your body's communicating with you, if you feel like, ooh, it's been whispering and I don't want it to get louder, now is the time to start making big changes. Now is the time to start making huge changes so you can get those huge results. And it was just like, when I was meditating the day that I found the lump, and what I heard, I'm going to get emotional, but what I heard was, remember, of course, my higher self is swearing. If you don't know me, I am a swearer. But it was like, remember who the F you are. And, throughout our lives, we forget our power. We forget our healing abilities. We are all healers. Our body naturally wants to heal. And even like the tumor, I mean, it's like it encases itself. It's protecting itself. So whatever signs or symptoms your body's giving, it's giving to you to help you. It's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to, bother you. It's not, so we don't want to silence that check engine light. We want to explore it. We want to do like a full diagnostic. We want to use a holistic approach. So if somebody's coming to you saying, this is the only way to heal, I'm calling BS. Take this pill and you'll be healed, I'm calling BS. Drink this shake and you'll be healed, I'm calling BS. Do surgery, chemo, and radiation and you'll be healed, I'm calling BS. I'm calling BS. We have to use a holistic approach. And we've got to start working with all of the different systems in our body, our energetic field, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and so on. We've got to work physically, right? We've got to work with all of those systems. And this is how we heal. We want to raise up our levels of consciousness. And when we're operating at a higher frequency, this is how we feel happier. This is how we feel healthier. This is how we feel a sense of peace. But it requires work. This is why it's called spiritual work. Okay. Spiritual work, not like sit back and relax and do nothing, right? And then enlightenment will come. It's spiritual work. So we've got to do the work. And, at the end of the day, big action equals big results. So I will be posting, I'll be sharing what I'll be doing, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, how I'm detoxing, how I'm nurturing my body, what types of, biohacking am I going to be doing as well, how I'm managing my stress. So I'm excited to go on this journey, and every day I'm like, thank you for showing me, thank you for, showing me this lump, thank you for encouraging me to heal, I am healed, and so on. So this is not the enemy, this is part of who I am. And you can hear, I don't know if you can hear the dogs in the background, but dogs represent self-care. So if dogs are driving you crazy, it's like, what do I need to do to love on myself some more? So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share if you feel called to, and sending you loads of love. Big hug. We got this, and I'll chat soon.